Yes, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Dais. At Nick Dais 10, as you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum is at Veterans Minimum in the building today. For the first time, I've been on his show a bunch. My guy, Rob, in the building. Fight Junkeez. What's good, baby?
How's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm excited. There's a lot going on in the fight world right now.
A lot going on. I love how persistent you are with your content. I love how in your face you are with your content. I tell people all the time, I'm like, that's how it got to be. You got to be out there, man. You got to just do it.
You know, it's a fine line when you finally do something that you actually enjoy doing. I've done so many things in my short 37 years that were hard and took a lot of time and patience, but I didn't enjoy them. So to be able to just be a super fan and host a show, it's effortless.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It's dope, man. I love the content
that.
that you put out. It's really interesting. And also, ladies and gentlemen, he is a real veteran, unlike myself, who I always get, dude, the amount of times. I get two interactions. No, I get three specific interactions every week on multiple occasions. Number one, are you a veteran? I am not. Veterans minimum is a term in the sports world for guys that are at like the tail end of their careers. So when you're like a 38, 39-year-old NBA player, or you're in the MLB, or I don't know if you're playing in the NFL at that age, but maybe you are. Every league has a veterans minimum, which means the league can't be like, you know what, man, I'm going to only give you $80K this year.
Yeah.
Because you're 39 years old and you're no longer the player. It's like, no. Every league has a veterans minimum.
I think everything in the world has a veteran component to it.
Yeah.
Like anyone who's been in any genre with longevity, you're a vet.
Yeah, for sure.
But I could see where it gets a little, dicey. Yeah,
especially over here. Like people will walk by the win and they'll stop me after a show and be like, "Hey, would you serve?" I'm like, "I did not."
Fantasy football.
Fantasy football. I salute everyone that has utmost respect, but for me, it was never my thing. So if I'm a veteran, is number one. Number two is, what are the picks? Always, everyone wants the picks. I'm like, yo, just listen to the podcast. It's free.
Yeah.
Like the podcast is on there, like you get the picks there. And then the other one that I get the most of is I'm going to start a podcast because I could do what you do. I'm like, yeah, you could. Like I'm not doing rocket science. Like it's not. But there is an art to it. So I do like to tell people that I'm an artist as well.
Consistency is not common.
Yeah.
And in this industry, you have to have consistency.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people. You know what I envy about you? I'll give you your flowers as well. I appreciate mine. It's hard enough running a show for mixed martial arts. And granted, Fight Junkeez doesn't mean UFC junkies. So sometimes I'll cover different things, like some of the YouTube boxing and even real boxing, Garcia, Tank. I was over at the press conference. You cover so many sports. I don't have the time in the day to obtain that knowledge. But again, you love it. Like I remember, especially being in the military, being overseas, they didn't have especially in Germany, the time difference. They had to really write down and record and figure out when the games but they took so much time to do that. So I envy you for doing that at a consistent level and at a high level because, as much as people say they can do it, I'd like to see them because that's not easy, man.
I appreciate that, man. My whole life, bro, all I did was watch sports. Legit, typical sports dude. Growing up, my dad played soccer until he got hurt, and then he moved to the U.S., so I grew up a soccer kid. My mom played basketball. My mom was nasty at basketball, dude. Apparently, from what I've heard, I don't know, shouts to Mama Lamb, but if the WNBA was around when she was growing up, she would have been able to play. But traditional Greek culture, Greek homes, the kid isn't really going away to college and whatnot to go and play sports, especially if you're a woman at that time, in the mid 80s. But so I grew up a sports guy. Dude, I didn't watch Godfather and Scarface until I was 23, 24 years old.
Wow.
Sandlot, I watched it when I was 25 because I was seeing this girl and she was like, oh, you want to watch the Sandlot? I was like, I've never seen it. She was blown away.
Well, you lived that life in a way. My ex-brother-in-law is Greek.
Okay.
I lived in Queens as well.
Yeah,
I remember going to a christening And I was like, is it the mafia? Did all of Staten Island just show up to this church, like decked out with the suits and the pocket squares?
I'm a little upset you said Staten Island because there's nothing cool about Staten Island besides the Wu-Tang.
I thought all the Italians came, but they were all Greek.
Oh, okay.
I thought like
you saved yourself a little bit.
Yeah, the mob came from Staten Island. But I was like, man, this culture's real. And I was like, I had never seen it at that level till the whole family came out for the baby to get christened. I was like, phew. So you didn't need to go watch it on TV. You saw it every day in your own life, you know? That's awesome. Yeah, I love the Greek culture, especially like in Queens and like, the food. You can't beat New York City, man, in a lot of ways. I miss it. I definitely miss home.
Yeah, I'm going back in a couple weeks. And then after that, I don't know when I'll be back again, honestly, just because, again, really busy with the football season. And primarily my content is like football and UFC, and then, love talking basketball. I really talk about the things that I find interesting, bro. Like if I find you interesting or we have common grounds on a topic, that's how I go about getting guests on the show. I've had so many people, bro, that are big names, like millions of followers, pro athletes, that I just don't find interesting because their genre that made them popular. Like, I'm not really into science, so like I don't want to have some scientists on here, but I would love to one day talk to Alex Friedman because he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I have a common ground there, but I really don't care about AI. I don't care about robots or any shit like that.
Speaking of jiu-jitsu, you got something going on your face.
Bro,
looks like you got a gnarly gash.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that, or is that a...
just, battle wounds, bro. I just got, I was rolling with one of the black belts at the gym, and I went for like a pass, and then I got swept. And as I got swept, his like knee kind of hit me. And you're in the heat of battle, you're in the trenches and going on, and you're rolling. You don't really pay no mind to it. And then I kind of I got on top. He had me in his guard, and he's like, dude, you're bleeding. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And then we stopped, and shouts to Shane. My boy Shane comes over. He goes, "Okay, you got christened." Yeah. He's like, "No." I was like, "Yo, bro, am I tough at least?
Let's
now?
go.
Like, am I a little more gangster out here?"
It looks cool.
Yeah, man. But immediately when I got home and I cleaned it out, I was like, "I'm gonna turn this into a crazy story at a bar."
And I was there, so I second that. I'm a witness.
I'm gonna turn this into an all-time pickup line or just pickup story.
Any ideas of what that would be?
Still got to map it out, but maybe some shit that like, took a couple amateur fights undefeated.
Yeah,
they're not going to look me up when that's happening, right? They're not going to be over there like looking it up, but
like, what's your Instagram?
Yeah. They don't need to know all that. Just, in conversation.
Yeah, we could BS a lot more 20 years ago. Not that I was BSing a bunch of girls, but, I've probably said a couple white lies back in the day to look a little cool. But now everything is at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Oh, you got 1,000 followers? Good night, see you later. It's crazy that that's what the world's become, because I have an entire life that I've lived in so many different levels as a father and a husband and a veteran, and I speak different languages, but people, they don't care about that. If at face value, they go right to what's your social media.
Yeah.
Or nowadays, they don't know Nick, the amazing gentleman that I know from New York who loves his family, who loves sports. Some of them they see the studio. And those are the people I try to stay away from. Like, if you just want to come to Sticky Paws and get on the show, like it's not organic to me.
Yeah.
I'm not out here to do clout stuff. I'm here because I'm a super fan like you. I love UFC. I love fighting. I don't want to get in there, but I like watching it,
Yeah.
It's a weird world compared to 20 years ago.
What would you say is do you think that's like a fuckboy thing of me to do to make up a crazy story about this cut that I have?
No,
like just to be like, yo, I took on like 9 amateur fights. I'm 9-0.
If people are, I won't say the word dumb, but dumb enough I won't even say you're dumb. We live in Las Vegas. Like, that's very normal around here to have a cut and be a fighter.
Yo, yeah. Hell yeah, you ain't kidding, bro.
Just be cautious of your surroundings because you might say it next to like some dude in the UFC.
An actual fighter.
Like, hey, what?
Oh, where'd you fight at?
No, I'll tell you what, I was in, not Long Island. Where is Hofstra?
Long Island.
It is in Long Island.
Yeah.
So I had a friend, Chris Navarro, shout out to Chris, years ago. Back in like 2001, we went out to Hofstra for the weekend. Me and my...
Big party scene, bro.
Oh, it was nuts.
There's like a strip. There's like a boulevard out there, and it's all college bars. It's a good time when you're in college for sure.
It was nuts, and I wasn't 21 yet.
Oh, it's even better. Like no one there was 21, bro. Everyone was underage.
So I'm also someone who's done stolen valor, because that specific night that we went out there, me and my buddy Mike were telling all the girls that we were Marines and we were going overseas and we were getting free beers, and like I was like 16, but it worked. So I don't recommend doing that. I am now a tried and true combat veteran, but we've all been there. We've said some things to let the chicks look at us differently,
Oh, dude, I mean.
And now I got 2 daughters, so I got to be careful for guys like us.
Oh yeah, you're paying for it, bro. Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna have like 4 daughters one day.
I never thought I would have daughters.
I'm gonna have 4 daughters, and it's just gonna be like, remember some of those fuckboy tendencies, that
bro?
You had?
I was Stifler back in the day. I would play beer pong on your roof and then jump off the house into the pool. And
yeah, I wasn't that crazy.
I was nuts.
Man, I'm gonna get judged for this, but fuck it, why not? Dude, when I was in my, because I feel like every guy has kind of had their like fuckboy era, where they kind of are like, I was always classy, I was always a gentleman. However, what I would do is,
say it.
So when I was talking to like multiple girls, what I would do is, when I would save their names in my phone book, whatever their initials were, I'd make the name of an NFL player, so that when they would text me, it would say like Antonio Brown, NFL. And if I was with another girl, she would be like, Antonio Brown. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to get him on the podcast.
No, that's
instead
smart.
of the name popping up of so and so,
Tiffany's
whatever.
hitting you up.
Yeah. So I'd have like 9 different NFL players texting me, but they were NFL
Damn, you're hella
players.
popular, man. The whole NFL draft hitting you up at one day.
Hey, lie, cheat, and steal, bro. I had to do what we had to do. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, this is the time to do it. You're 31. How old are you?
32.
32?
Oh, no. I've definitely matured. I'm talking about when I was
but still now.
My fuckboy era was from like 2015 to 2023.
What I mean by it's the time to do it is you're not married. You don't have children. Like there's a certain... I'm at that, like, I'm not even, granted, normally men just want the super hot chick, and I'm super lucky my wife's super hot. But I also, looking for that caretaker at 37. I'm like, man, I'm starting to feel it. I'm looking for that slow down caretaker, get the bag and buy some land and bounce, But yeah, you're at a good spot. You're in your prime, 31. I think I'm in my prime too.
You didn't even catch what I said, did you?
I did.
That's why I went like this. It went over your head.
No, I caught you.
2015 to 2023.
Yeah.
You're still in it, baby.
I caught you.
Yo, enough. Let's get into the card, because there's going to be a banger of a card. A little bit of a makeshift card, though, because a couple of fights did get moved around. And I actually want to start the conversation with that, dude. Paulo Costa, big name, very popular name in the UFC. Fan favorite. Hell of a fighter at 185. Perennial top 5 guy. He's been now since like 2019, I think. He's now going to fight Chimaev in Abu Dhabi. I love that fight.
I'm stoked.
That's going to say a lot about both guys, because we haven't seen Paulo Costa in a while too. It's coming up on a year that he fought Luke Rockhold at Salt Lake. And he's been in and out of, I was going to say the lineup, but yeah, like the fight card lineup and scheduling and whatnot. And he had a little beef with the UFC. And now he's getting paid handsomely. Apparently, he's one of the top like 10 earners in the UFC as far as like what their show money is right away. What do you make of a Paulo Costa Chimaev matchup down the road? Is that a title eliminator?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. More so on the Chimaev side when it comes to title eliminator. But I get excited about all the fights. I'm a true fight fan. But there's some fights that just get me going, and this is one of them. And I was a little bit disappointed in the matchmaking, which doesn't happen often, when Paulo Costa was going to fight, kind of like on the beginning of a fight night or whatever, against an unknown opponent to the masses. I think it makes sense. I mean, you don't build up a character like Paulo Costa who leans into the heel and has all these followers and does awesome under the bright lights, always comes out and puts it on the line and then just kind of throw it away. You know, unless there's like a specific reason. I didn't see a real reason. So for him to fight anybody less than someone like a Khamzat Chimaev would have been an injustice to the fans and to the athlete. I'm stoked. And you know what? I go back and forth with that fight. And I say that because Khamzat obviously is a complete animal. But we did see a little bit of him being a human 2 fights ago. And if you think about, he was fighting a former 155er who is now a 170 pounder. And it went the distance, and he arguably could have lost that fight. So you're talking about fighting somebody who's fought at 205 and kills himself to get to 185. I just think that the strength is going to be a lot different, and the grappling is not going to go the way he expects it to go. I don't think he's going to walk through. I don't think anybody is going to walk through him.
That's a good point, because Chimaev took the 170 fight with Gilbert, and then from there he ends up fighting Kevin Holland. When that card was a nightmare, how that all got shuffled around. It ended up working out well, because then you got to see Tony and Nate kind of have a pretty fun fight. Because the last thing you want, bro, you know what drives me crazy about the UFC? Whenever you know a guy is being set up to get slaughtered. That's kind of what the UFC was doing to Nate and Tony on the way out with who they were scheduled to fight. And then all the chaos goes down with Chimaev, and he misses weight by so much. And then you do Chimaev, Holland, and you have Nate and Tony. It's a feel-good moment at the end when Nate wins, because at least one of the OGs goes out with a win. And then Tony doesn't really get massacred like he has been the last couple of fights. You know, he loses by submission, but it's not that vicious knockout that just leaves him stiff as a board. And then you're like, damn, bro, we're probably never going to see him again.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. But
Especially
the UFC does that.
Tony Ferguson, this guy is just, he was on a 12-fight win streak in 155. Like, he's El Kukui. I don't want to see anybody that's at that level, and they know what they're doing. You're putting a 40-year-old or a 39-year-old in with this massive killer who's got size, and he's probably cutting 20 more pounds than this guy. So, yeah, that fight worked out pretty good. I know we'll get into the next Tony fight in a little bit, but I'm super stoked for that too. I really don't know how the Khamzat fight's going to go. I think he's either going to, I think it's actually going to turn into a striking match. I think they're going to cancel each other out. Costa's too strong. He's not going to be able to just pick him up and walk around and wrestle him the way he wants to. And if Gilbert Burns is an absolute beast, but I think that Costa beats Gilbert on any given day. So we'll see, because Gilbert almost knocked him out a couple times.
It's funny what happens sometimes. You'll see this guy that's so unbelievable and so dominant that people feel as if they can't be touched. And then the moment they fight someone that takes them out of their comfort zone, all of a sudden people are lining up to fight them. Maybe not lining up to fight them, but they're more open to, that guy's no longer the boogeyman. Right? People didn't want to fight Usman for the longest time. People were not calling him out. And then he gets head kicked, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, I'll fight Usman now. You just see that happen often in the UFC.
This is the human mindset. Anytime you think you can't do something, nobody wants to be the first to try. Like, who broke that mile, time? I don't know what the time was, but somebody ran a mile in 4 minutes or something. Yeah. And now there's like a couple hundred people that have done it, or whatever the case is. Many
people, yeah.
Yeah, so until you see someone humanize this, in quotes, killer, I wouldn't want to fight the guy. He the prestige he had and the hype behind him during COVID was just like, who the hell is this dude? But we'll see.
If you had to pick a fight on the card, the main card, let's start with the main card. I want you to introduce the main card and tell me a fight that you're excited about.
I'm pretty excited about the entire card, to be honest. The most excited, because I'm a true fight fan and I've been watching this game for 20 years. I got to be honest, Bobby Green and Tony Ferguson. And I think it's more of a legacy fight for Tony. I think that, with all due respect to Tony, this could be his last fight. Whether he wins or loses, I think he could walk away at this point. And again, I don't know where his mindset is, but I don't see another run for the belt at this point right now. But you never know. I mean, Glover won it at what, 42? 43. But I'm super excited about that. Bobby Green comes out to throw bows. This is going to be a true like backyard brawl. It's going to look more like a fist fight than an MMA match. I'm super excited about that fight. And I think it's gone underneath. It hasn't been promoted as much as I think it should have been.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I feel as if, so this happens a lot in the UFC. From a betting perspective, Tony is a 3-1 dog. I'm betting Tony Ferguson. I have to. Bobby Green should not be a minus 400 favorite against a Tony Ferguson. Could Tony be washed? Sure, that could be the case. But you know what else I know? His losses are to Oliveira, Dariush, Chandler, Gaethje. Had taken 2 rounds off Nate. He's not losing to bums, bro. You're looking at guys that are
top 5.
Fighting for a title, fought for a title, perennial top 3 guys. And this happens a lot in the UFC where you'll get a dude who is on a winning streak, or a girl, guy or girl. You get a fighter. They're on a winning streak. And they lose 2, 3, 4 fights in a row. If they're afforded the opportunity to still be in the UFC, because a lot of them get cut. But Tony Ferguson, in this example, has the namesake and the legacy and aura to him where he's still fighting. The odds makers completely misprice the line because they're looking at it as, oh, he's on a 5-fight losing streak. Here comes Bobby Green, who last time we saw him, he had the illegal headbutt against my buddy Jared when I was at the Apex. Off principle, I have to bet Tony Ferguson this weekend.
Why do you think they're so quick to just say, oh, it must be 6 in a row now, and they forget the totality of like the athlete? Is it just, I don't know too much about that betting world, but I know you're an expert.
A lot of that has to do with where they're perceiving you to be in your career at that point. If they think that, and again, this isn't a hedge when I say things like that, because I say this a lot when I'm talking about fighters, when I'm talking about betting on the UFC. He could be fried. He could be. We're not going to know until he goes in there. But we felt that way about Max Holloway when he fought Arnold Allen. I was on VSiN, I was on this show too. I was like, yo, Max is minus 180. That is wrong. Because the longer the fight goes, he's going to look minus 800. And right before round 5, when they flashed the live odds, he was minus 775. So I was pretty accurate with that assessment. But again, Max has been in there with a lot of guys. He's had a longer history in the UFC. You have this up-and-coming dude. And not that Bobby Green is up-and-coming. Like, Bobby Green is on his way out too. Yeah. He's kind of an old head also. But I think what happens is you have public perception, which is built into any sports betting line, whether it's UFC, NFL, NBA, no matter what the sport, public perception plays a big role in it. And then you're looking at it as, if you're a casual bettor, if you're a casual fan, someone tells you, like, yo, Tony Ferguson is fighting. You look it up. You're like, bro, he's lost his last 5 fights. They don't know that, holy shit, this guy at one point was the best 155er in the world. Yeah. If it wasn't for a bunch of TV cables, like, he's fighting for a title against Habib. So that's what happens with the sports betting stuff that makes it so fascinating, is that people, you have to add context. And the context in this scenario with Tony Ferguson is that, yeah, he's on a 5-fight losing streak. Is he at the tail end of his career? Could be. I wouldn't argue against it if you think so. He's definitely not in the prime of his career. But, bro, he's lost to Nate, Chandler, Dariush, Oliveira, and Gaethje. Gaethje is main eventing this pay-per-view. Oliveira is getting a title shot in a pay-per-view down the road. Dariush is 1 fight away from a title shot. Was 1 fight away from a title shot. Yeah. And Chandler's like one of the most explosive fighters in MMA ever. Like, this dude has never been in a bad fight, or a boring fight, I should say. And then Nate is, all right, you got guillotined by Nate, which the jiu-jitsu shit is, like, that's his forte. So all that stuff plays into it, man. And then when you look at it, we'll get into the betting stuff a little later with the odds and whatnot. But, man, I just think that I got Tony in this fight, bro.
Yeah. I do as well. I fully believe that he knows Bobby Green's going to come in there swinging. I mean, that's what he does. He goes in a fight. He loves his stand-up. he's got okay jiu-jitsu. He's not a wrestler, per se. You know, I think he's going to submit him. I think he knows. Tony knows better than anybody where Tony's at. So I think he's going to try to close the distance. I don't think his agility is where it used to be. He's not in there breakdancing anymore, but he's still got those elbows. He's still strong. But then again, like you said, who the hell knows? That first round against Chandler before he got kicked into outer space, he was winning. In my opinion, he looked great. And if it kept going that route without that crazy front kick by Chandler, I think he might have taken it. So that was only a couple fights ago. So we'll see. I don't know. That's a good fight. But, you know, that is one of them that's kind of been hidden in the weeds. And I'm super, super, super excited about that fight.
Dude, I put that down as Tony by sub because I want to mention the betting stuff a little later. But, yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. That's how I think he beats him. I don't think he outpoints him. I think Bobby Green is going to walk him down like he does with every fight. So he'll have to catch him. Maybe drop him and then, you know, club and sub.
Yeah.
That's how I think that fight plays out. But yeah, I'm on Tony in that one. I'm fascinated by this matchup. And to me, it also makes no sense. Wonder Boy against Pereira, Michel Pereira. Why are they fighting? Can you explain that one to me?
Me personally, outside looking in, like if I didn't know anything about the UFC and they were like, go watch this guy, tell me tomorrow what you think. Do you think that you would want them to fight? I would come in the next day and say, absolutely. You got arguably one of the best taekwondo, kickboxer type, you know, distance managing strikers ever in Wonder Boy. And his opponent is doing backflips and trying to knock people out with the craziest stuff you've ever seen. It's like capoeira mixed with, you know, karate times whatever. This dude is athletic. He's big. I think he definitely has the size advantage and the strength advantage. I don't know. Damn, now you got me thinking. Because if you look at the Wonder Boy who just fought Holland, that was next level Wonder Boy. I don't think I've ever seen Wonder Boy that crisp with his striking, his speed, his distance management against somebody with an 81-inch reach.
Well, here's the thing about Wonder Boy. If you try to beat him at his own game, you're going to fail. Anyone that tries to stand with him and strike, it never works out well. Never. The only time it did was when Anthony Pettis hit him with the Superman punch.
Knocked him out.
And he just happened to catch him, which it happens in the fight game. Like sometimes you get clipped, bro. Yeah. Dude, I'll never forget. I went to, you ever heard of Tough Enough? It's like a promotion. It's on Fight Pass.
Shout out to Brian.
Yep. So I went to Tough Enough, and my buddy Nick, also from New York, he used to do the show with me. Everyone knows him as boss. Him and I went to the card. We're hanging out with my buddy Dimitri, who I do jiu-jitsu with, and we're watching the main event. And this kid was 5-3 or 4-3, but he was on a 4-fight winning streak, and he was fighting this dude from Georgia, like the country Georgia, where like Marab and Poirier are from. He's fighting him, and the dude from Georgia is like 14-1, and this kid is 4-3. And as they're announcing him, the announcer goes, "Oh, he's on a 4-fight winning streak." So as the fight goes on, I turn to my buddy and I go, "Yo, bro, this dude's on a 4-fight winning streak. Maybe he figured something out." Dude, the moment I say that, the other guy throws a head kick, drops him, knocks him out. The reason why I say that is because he tried to beat him at his game, which was the striking. Bring it back to Wonder Boy. You can't do that against him. Pereira is a perfect foe for him, though, because he's going to want to try to catch him with some funky shit. The capoeira stuff, the running up the cage like Showtime. He does a lot of funky shit like that. But from a ranking standpoint, from who got more to lose, like Wonder Boy is number 7.
Yeah.
Pereira is ranked, he's number 14 but still, it's just, I don't know, man. I know you got to fight people, but I think it just doesn't make sense from a entertainment standpoint, 100%. But if you're Wonder Boy, I think it's a weird fight to take.
Yeah, that's why I said if you watch them both, would I want to watch them as like somebody who didn't know? Just let me go watch a spectacle, an awesome fight. Absolutely. But if you look at the accolades of what Wonder Boy's done, he's arguably the champ. It was a draw. He could have easily held welterweight gold a few years ago. but he's also getting older. I think he's 40, 41.
He's 40, yeah.
Yeah, he's but he just keeps getting better and better. So yeah, if he tries to play that game, he's going to lose. You know, I was just having this conversation the other day. If you think about Leon Edwards head kicking Usman, right? We gotta, and I say we as if I'm getting in there. Fighters, I think, need to continue to do what got them to the dance. You know, if you're a grappler like Eddie Alvarez, on his way up to winning the belt, he might not have had the most exciting fights like he did with Chandler and Bellator, but this guy stayed wrestling and smothered everybody, and then he got to the title, and that's what he did, and he won. Some guys, kind of like Usman, one of the greatest of all time, granted, he was a boring fight. He was winning the entire fight until he got head kicked. Because what did he do? Kind of like Ronda Rousey. He thought he became a striker and a boxer. Now, you could also get good at those things and have other attributes like striking and jiu-jitsu. But if you're a wrestler since you were 6, wrestle when you're fighting for the belt. So I think that evolving is a necessity, but sometimes they forget what got them to the dance, and it cost them everything.
I agree and disagree with that entire take. And I'll give you what I agree on. I think you should do whatever it takes to just get a W. When you start understanding that there's a win bonus, bro, win by any means. Get that extra 40, 50, 100K, 12K if you're a new guy. I don't give a fuck if you just lay and pray. Now, I'm talking about from, like, if I was their business manager or just a close friend. I have some friends that fight. I would be like, bro, I don't care if 20,000 people are booing you. Get the W. Because in the long term, now you're on a winning streak. Now you've won. Who cares? Yeah, if the performance bonus comes, by all means. But, like, if you're this all-world wrestler, do what Khabib did. Khabib didn't start finishing people till the end. Usman also. Usman was fighting a lot of boring fights. Boring to who, though? Because I love mastermind calculations and like taking your soul from you. I love when a fighter beats a dude 50-43, 50-45, than he does with a flash 2-minute knockout. Because there it's definitive. There it's, I whooped your ass for 25 minutes, unanimous 50-45. There's no rematch. There's no, oh, let's run it back. You caught me. Nah, bro. I never wanted to see Pena and Nunes 3. Did she beat her by sub the first time? Yeah, sure. But the second time they fought, it was a 50-43. I don't need to see that again. So if I was a fighter, my friends that fight, I'd be like, yo, fuck that if they boo you, dude. You're getting 20-20. Get a win. Don't worry. Let them boo.
Yeah, get your money.
We'll go to STK. We'll eat some steaks. We'll forget all about that shit. Don't matter. Get your money. Get on a winning streak. Israel Adesanya, I had Eric Nixick on the show. Israel Adesanya was getting a lot of heat about how he fights boring fights.
Really?
To who, though?
Yeah.
Well, remember, this is prior to the back-to-back Pereira fights.
Oh, yeah, because he was just so dominant. Yeah.
Whitaker decisions, Cannonier decisions, Vittori decisions. But they're boring to who? Not to me, where it's such an art, and he's an artist out there, and how calculated he is, and he's not getting hit. Like, he's a wizard at what he's doing. And he also he's the highest paid active fighter right now in the UFC. So if he goes up 3-0 on the scorecards, yeah, bro, cruise. Don't get caught. Because then you know what happens? What happened to him against Pereira. Yeah. So you can't make everybody happy, bro. So that's why what you were saying, like, I agree with what you're saying, but I also disagree from that standpoint too.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a fighter, bro, whatever it takes to get the win, get it done. If they boo, they boo. Whatever. Because now you're on a winning streak. Now you're on a 2-fight winning streak. Now you're on a 3-fight winning streak. And then that opportunity is going to present itself at some point to get a performance. Because then you're going to find that guy that's also going to want to engage with you. So I know I kind of went off on a rant there, but it's just something I feel super passionate about, where I don't understand why people boo fighters and then why they feel like they fight boring fights. I think that's just playing to your strength.
Yeah, that risk to reward is just horrible.
Yeah.
There's no reason I'm going to go in there and win. And, you know, a lot of A lot of people, they live their own life, and then they turn the TV on once every 8 weeks and buy a pay-per-view with their boys, throw back a couple happy dads. That's it.
Right.
We don't see the fight camps and all the sweat, blood, tears, injuries, PT, traveling, expenses, everything that goes into like being a fighter. There's no crazy salary, no definitive money coming in. Yeah, so I agree as well. Yeah, it's a crazy game, man.
Bro, we were out at dinner. Some people from the gym and I over the weekend. We go on these like food dates, we call it. And some of them are fighters, whether like amateur, pro, but regional stuff. I was just listening to them talking. I was like, yo, y'all are sick, bro. With the utmost respect, you guys go and beat the shit out of each other for like $400, $800. Like, I respect the people on the amateurs and the pros before they get to the Bellators and the UFC way more than I do the ones that get there. Because they're really doing it for love. It has to be for love and for the potential of maybe one day I could get there. But, bro, like...
So what do you think Conor McGregor's fighting for? For that same reason?
I think Conor McGregor is fighting for... He wants to be able to continue to cash in on his name. And to do that, he needs to fight and get a win in order for the McGregor aura to continue. Because I've had this take. It's been very consistent. And I promise we'll move on with the card. Because also, I mean, Poirier is fighting, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw Conor was against Poirier. When he snapped his foot against Poirier, International Fight Week in 2021, I came on the pod and everyone was like, we've seen the last of Conor. I don't think we've seen the last of Conor. And nothing has swayed me from this take. I think the next time we see Conor, it'll be the last time we have a, bro, Conor is fighting moment. Not that he's going to win, but the excitement where ESPN is going to fly Stephen A. Smith to go and cover the fight, which they only do when Conor does.
Yeah.
Right? When ABC might do a special on Conor. Like, that's what I mean. Because, bro, if he goes in there and he wins, this continues. The aura of Conor continues. But if he goes in there and he loses to Chandler, which he could, definitely could, then it's like, Conor's fighting, cool. I think the aura goes away. And that's been my take from the moment he broke his foot until the next time we see him. It'll be one more time where you'll get all your buddies that rarely watch the fight game to be like, yo, Conor is back. And then after that, he has to win. He has to.
You know what's so crazy about this? Is like one of the only sports that everything you've done is forgotten so quick because of your last performance. Like, people dog Conor and love Conor. You know, I'm definitely a Conor fan, always have been. Maybe some of the things I'm like a little like, all
well,
right.
I think I think that's fair because I think people dog Conor for that stuff. I think it's his antics out of the octagon that people have gotten soured on him.
Yeah.
Without question. I mean, it has for me too. I love Conor, bro.
Have you ever asked someone from Ireland how they feel about Conor McGregor?
I have not, no.
I have. A few times.
What's the consensus?
No bueno. Every
Really?
single one I ask.
Wow.
They say he was like the next big thing, the savior, and we all supported him, and basically they all feel like let down. And like he made a mockery of us as a people. And that's coming from people I've met on the street doing interviews, and I ask them.
I don't know if I agree, man.
Now, they might not be fight fans, you know what I mean? Like there, but
he put the whole country on the map in the fight game. And like made Ireland a potential destination for fights, made the Ireland fight scene improved because of him. Like, I don't know if I agree with that one, bro.
I don't.
But again, I'm also not from Ireland, so
Yeah.
I can't really relate. So I'm kind of talking out of my ass there.
So I'll put it this way, right? And I don't agree with that either. I'm from the Jersey Shore, lived in Queens for a little while, basically grew up in Ocean County, right? Most of my life. Every time I say Jersey, I get Snooki. Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
It's not a good look, but that's all they think about. So you think about Ireland, most of the time, at least in our world, it's going to be Conor McGregor.
Well, yo, bro, truthfully, the reason why is because like Jersey wasn't popping until like the Sopranos and then the Jersey Shore.
True.
So people that aren't from that area, that tri-state area, they don't really know what Jersey stands for or represents.
Yeah.
It's not much, but also like the perception is Mike the Situation. Everyone's like Paulie D. Everyone's like Snooki and JWoww. Yeah. It's not the case, but that's just a perception of what that area of the country is to people that have never been there or to people around the world.
Yeah. Shout out to Frankie Edgar and Roger Matthews. I'm going to get Roger on the show, probably Zoom or next time he's in Vegas, but they do a podcast as well, which I think
Jersey
is great.
Boys.
Yeah.
Jersey Boys. All right, let's talk about the fight that I'm the most fascinated by.
I'm interested.
It's the co-main.
Really?
Yeah. Light heavyweight has been a dumpster fire since Daniel Cormier and John Jones left it, and a lot of it had to do with those two guys also. As far as John Jones, I think to this day the biggest what if in professional sports is John Jones. Yeah. Because he's the only guy, bro, in professional sports that is the unanimous greatest to ever do it and still is also the biggest what if in that sport.
I know now people are saying what's his face who just won the fight night in London has what it takes to beat John.
Oh, Aspinall definitely has what it takes.
Yeah,
but I also think that John Jones leaves after he beats Stipe in March in MSG.
Facts.
I think it's a wrap.
He's from New York, hometown.
He's not gonna wait for these guys to get built up to that point.
Why do you think the 205, and I know you were going to get into it, there's really no big stars right now in 205. I mean, the champ just tore his Achilles thanks to one of our mutual friends hosting a basketball thing. There's no breakout. Maybe I don't know. No one's brash. And if they are, I'm not picking up on it. 205, like you said, just been kind of dull.
Well, I want to just give you.
It's cursed, actually, I think.
It's cursed. Look, so John Jones gets the belt in 2011. Then DC gets the belt in 2015 because John Jones was stripped of the title in 2015 because of his arrest in a felony hit and run. So DC has it, and then John Jones wins the interim title when he beats OSP in 2016. Then Jones is stripped of the interim title, 1 year suspension due to a failed drug test pre-fight. Then John Jones wins the undisputed title at UFC 214 in 2017, then is stripped of it to a no contest because of a failed drug test against Cormier. So then Cormier gets the vacant title back. Then John Jones beats Gustafsson, gets his title back because Cormier relinquishes it to go up to heavyweight. And then when John Jones lets go of the belt in 2020, because of, he wanted to go up to heavyweight, but when you dig into the story, it's like, dude wasn't getting paid enough. Yeah. Jan versus Reyes. Jan holds the belt. Then Glover holds the belt. Then Yuri holds the belt. Then Yuri vacates it. Then Jan and Ankalaev fight to a draw. And then Jamal Hill beats Glover. And then Jamal Hill has to vacate it because he tears his Achilles. Like, look how much shit we just ran through in those 2 minutes about 205, bro. It's cursed. It's been a cursed division.
Do you think that this should be for
How is
a
it
belt?
not? How is it not? Bro,
I think timelines, because it was already set up.
If this was the pay-per-view main event, I would bet all the money that I have. It's not a lot. We're getting there. But I would bet that they would have made this an interim title fight. If Gaethje Poirier was reversed, let's just say
I think if Gaethje Poirier wasn't even on this card, that they probably would have made it an interim.
Oh, 100%, because the UFC always wants, unless it's a Conor fight, they want the main event to be a title of some kind on a pay-per-view.
But why not push it to Nashville in another week? I don't know. They're scheduling. They're scheduled out to almost March with UFC 300, which I can't wait for. But I think that you could still put the light heavyweight world title above a BMF title.
Yeah,
without a doubt,
for sure.
But then
the only pushback is the only pushback is that Justin and Dustin are like
huge,
two of the most popular, fan favorites, exciting fighters in the whole promotion. But if Jan and Pereira was the main event, they 100% would have made him the interim title. for sure. And I don't know why they don't, because then you just have Jamal Hill or Yuri, whoever comes back first, will fight one of these guys, the winner of this.
They're undisputed.
And then you make it undisputed. And then Jamal Hill, when he's fully healthy, he's your number one contender. So regardless, these guys, their next fights were going to be for the belt. So why not make it an interim title? I don't know. And they love the interim title stuff.
Yeah, contenders is definitely not a problem at 205. It's just everything else. Can you break down that fight? I've put a lot of time into this fight. Shout out to Henry Cejudo, his YouTube channel. He does really good breakdowns. You know, being a double champ and an Olympian. I go to him a lot for a lot of content and fight stuff. What do you think about Blachowicz versus Poatan, Stonehands?
So I think Pereira wins. I think Pereira wins comfortably.
Wow.
I think Pereira puts him out. Pereira is known for that left hook. Jan's last 2 losses have been by left hook. He's been knocked out by Thiago Santos with the left hook. He got dropped by Glover with a left hook. Glover and Pereira are teammates. So that's a punch that has really hurt him in his career. Thiago Santos, like I mentioned, and then also Corey Anderson. No, not Corey Anderson. Who is it? Someone else knocked him out.
Do you think he's going to play that game if you're going in there with arguably one of the best kickboxers on earth who just knocked out someone that, you know, is very similar to your prior opponent, Israel Adesanya, and you beat him by taking him down? Like, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know. If I am him, I'm not going to go in there and stand with this guy. I know what his power was at 185. Now he's probably 230 cutting down.
Yeah. I mean, he was 230 regardless. The thing that makes me hesitate about Pereira the most is that dude just got violently finished
3 months ago.
3.5 months ago.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick turnaround for a guy that got knocked out the way he did. That's the only concern. If that didn't happen, if that fight never happened, Pereira's probably still the champion. But if that fight doesn't happen, I feel even better about Pereira in this one. The only thing that's holding me back just a little bit, even though I do think he's going to win by knockout on Jan, is that he just fought 3.5 months ago and got finished the way he did.
Normally, I would completely agree with that. I semi agree. Like, when it comes to it's a little bit too close to 90 days. I don't know. I'm not a neurologist. But I believe, and nothing against Israel Adesanya's power, I think he got his light shut out that quick because he was cutting so much weight. I don't think his brain, your brain's the last to rehydrate. And he's got to be 230, cutting down to 185, almost killing himself. So I think he's going to be, obviously it's still short time, but being 20, that's the biggest gap between any divisions, 185 and 205, weight-wise.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to believe that he's healthier because he's not going to cut all that weight. I mean, I don't know if they've done statistics and studies on getting knocked out easier due to being, dehydrated in your brain. But he's going to go in there a little bit more. I just worry about Israel took him down, dude. Israel took him down. And if Izzy can take down Pereira, Blachowicz is going to go in there and snatch those hips real quick.
Yeah, no, it's fair, man.
That didn't sound good at all.
No, it's fair though. I think
those hips sounded a little dicey.
I think that's how it would have to play out. But then again, like Jan, I think was an underdog in 7 straight fights, and he cashed as an underdog in all 7 of those fights. Like, I never pick against Jan. I picked Rockhold against Jan. I picked Ankalaev against Jan, and I know that ended up as a split decision. But Rakic got hurt in that one. But he was an underdog against Izzy. He was an underdog against Reyes, Corey Anderson.
You picked Rockhold, huh?
Yeah.
Was it the mystique again that some of these fighters have, or is it just like
no?
It's
the
way he fought in Pride and all the way up until he won the belt.
No. Truthfully, dude, I know some people that know Luke Rockhold. I've had the pleasure of meeting him. Also, he's a big boy.
Yeah, I met him at the BKFC at the Palms. Huge,
massive. So when I heard that he was going up to 205, I was like, oh, this dude's not gonna have that weight cut. Remember when he fought Yoel Romero and it looked like he couldn't even speak. That's how sucked out he was. He looked awful.
And he got knocked
So
out.
the reason why I wanted him at 205 and I bet him against Jan Blachowicz was because he didn't have to do that killer weight cut.
He is big. You know who also was big? I was at when I was at the Apex in the back. Marvin Vittori.
Dude, those 185ers are basically 205ers. They just choose to cut down.
It makes me know how overweight I am for my height. Like I gotta get some of this body fat off because I'm walking around at like 210, 212.
Oh, dude, I'm 195, 5'10", 195. Should probably be fighting at like
155.
155, 145.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro.
I'm proud of you though. Since Super Bowl, you've been killing it.
Yeah. I'm down. I was 218 Super Bowl Monday. Now 195. Even though Brian in the control room came up with these cookies. I was like, oh,
They
you
did
can't be
look
doing
good,
this
though.
to me, bro.
They did look good.
Listen, I'm going to slam them when we get out of here, but I still got to bitch and moan about it because this is what we do.
So if you're new to the fight game and you just show up to your buddy's house and they're going to host it and you got a couple bucks, what advice are you going to give if somebody wanted to bet that?
This fight in particular?
Yeah, because that's such a toss-up for me. He's either going to starch Pereira's either going to starch Blachowicz or it's going to go the distance, I think, with the decision and Blachowicz winning. I just don't think Blachowicz, because of Pereira's distance control and his height, he's 2 inches taller, and his experience. Granted, Blachowicz has 31 more MMA fights than Pereira, but Pereira has hundreds of kickboxing fights. So I really have no idea how this goes.
So it's heavily favored that the fight doesn't go to distance at minus 255. I think it ends by knockout. So whoever you like, which we'll give the official picks at the end, I think whoever you take, you have to bet them by knockout. That's how I would go about it.
Makes sense.
Okay. The BMF title is back. Do you like the BMF title?
I do.
Pretty cool looking belt, right?
You know, I think it came at a time that we needed it to in the middle of COVID.
Well, it came out before that.
With all the crap time. But wasn't it like...
It came out when Masvidal was on the run in 2019.
And then Nate Diaz called him out. Then wasn't it like 2020, right in the beginning when they actually fought? I just remember watching it on my phone because I was like stuck in the house.
It was 2019 because I went to that card. It was at MSG.
Oh, so my timelines are messed up.
Yeah. But COVID happened like 4 months later, so you're not entirely wrong there. But that fight, they put the BMF title up because of what I said prior during this episode. They need the main event of pay-per-views to be for a belt unless it's Conor McGregor. So they made up a makeshift belt, which was cool at the time. And also, bro, I think it's cool now because these two might be the BMFs in the UFC.
Facts. I believe so.
Like the parallels between the two of them, I think they're both 6-2 since they fought each other.
Both of them.
They both lost twice in title fights. They both have lost to Habib. They both have the same amount of performance bonuses. Like they both beat Chandler. If you're into that MMA stuff.
I just watched both of those fights, but it seemed like beating up Chandler was the best promotion for this fight. I just saw him losing everywhere. And shout out to Chandler. I met him at UFCX. Super good guy. I like it.
This fight, man, you know, can I give you what I think is my hottest take of this card?
Of the card in general?
The card in general, yeah.
It's a weird card, right? There's so much going on, but there's not.
There's so much going on, but I think, dude, I think whoever loses this fight might retire. Think about the way these guys could potentially lose. It's going to either be a 25-minute fucking war, or one of them is getting finished. And if they do get finished, it'll be like when they fought the first time 6 years ago or 5 years ago, and Poirier hit like a 45 punch kick and punch and kick combination.
And Gaethje was yelling
at Herb Dean's like, "Yo, I can't believe you stopped that." Like he's like, "I can't." He's like, "Let me die."
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Savage.
Greatest quote of all time. Joe Lozon said that he's willing to light himself on fire just to burn you.
That's gangster.
That's so fucking cold, bro. That's so
I never heard that
cold.
before.
But yo, so both of these guys are 34 years old. And the way that they fight is so violent. Gaethje kind of hinted at it when he beat Fiziev. I was on Gaethje in that fight. Thought Gaethje being a 2-1 dog was a mistake. He's a guy that fights for your money, I like to say. Like he's not gonna go out like a sucker. He's showing up. He's showing up, right? He hinted when he was being interviewed. I forgot who was interviewing him, but it was out in London. He's like, yo, I don't know how many more of these I have. So he's like, I appreciate you all. I hope the fans know that I'm giving it my all. And I hope you guys are happy with my performances. But he's like, I'm giving it one more shot at the belt.
I remember that conference. You're right.
If he doesn't win this fight, he's not going to go and fight like the Dariush's and Armin Sarukians and Gamrots of the world. I think he's only going to continue if he trends up. And if he trends up and wins, then yeah, I think the winner of this gets the winner of Islam and Charles. It seems like it's a little bit of a tournament going on. You have Islam and Charles fighting for sure, and now you got Gaethje and Poirier, and then it's the winners of those are going to fight each other.
And they tried to put new blood in, but they didn't win.
Yeah, they tried to.
Yeah,
they tried to, but that's what happens when you have these staples in the top 5 for so long. And I think whoever loses this fight, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yo, I just don't want to do this no more.
Yeah.
What do you feel? How do you feel about that? Have you thought about that? Has that crossed your mind?
No.
Because I'm just thinking about like, yo, it's going to be a 25-minute slugfest if it is going to go to distance. And if one of them loses, it could be violent.
And if you lose at that stage, you've already touched interim gold. You're 34.
They've both been interim champion. Good call. I forgot to mention that. That was another part of the accolades that was so wild when you do the tail of the tape.
They've been there. You know?
I just think that both of them, man, they want another shot at the title. And I could see the loser of this retiring.
I could definitely see Dustin Poirier doing it because of the money he made from the Conor fights. And now with the hot sauce, he's breaking 10, 15 mil now. Gaethje, I don't think he's up there financially, but I think he's up there financially, if that makes sense. He's still comfortable.
I think he's fine because you got to remember, this guy has gotten a bonus in every fight he's ever been in.
Yeah.
With the exception of one. I don't think he got a bonus against Habib, but he got pay-per-view points because he was the headliner against Habib.
And he hangs out with his dog. He's big on golf. Shout out to Justin Gaethje. He's got a veteran program for disabled vets to play golf, which I think is great, for mental health. I don't know. I could see it. What else do they got? What else do they have to prove?
I think they both want a title shot. The winner of this is going to get it, and I think the loser of this, it would have to be something. Obviously, money talks, but I don't think they're going to fight like Armin Sarukian. They're not going to go and fight Gamrot. I think I'm just putting it out there that I don't think I would be surprised if they drop the gloves after this. The loser of this fight drops the gloves. A traditional loser leaves town match like back in the WWF days.
I could see it. I wonder if there's any odds on that.
I would love to bet that. I would definitely bet that shit if that was the case.
Now, this division where it's at, one of them is definitely going to fight the winner of Oliveira Makhachev. If Conor doesn't come back, where does that leave Chandler? Because right now, I do believe that it's worth waiting for Conor, even if he gets into the USADA pool in 2 months and you don't fight until next March on possibly UFC 300, right? Which I think might happen. I think, why not? If that's going to be when Conor comes back in around March, UFC 300, I could see that being the main event of that. Well, no, because they're going to want a belt. Who the hell knows? Maybe
you don't need a belt if it's Conor.
Conor, yeah, it doesn't matter. But they're not going to put a belt under him.
They will.
Have they done
before?
That? Yeah, they have. Have they done that?
It might not be it'll be like a flyweight or like one of the women's belts will be underneath. They've done that. But they won't put like the heavyweight title on the line underneath that, especially with John Jones and stuff. They won't do that. But if it's like welterweight, they'll do that. I mean, dude, they're putting the welterweight title, Colby and Leon, on the MSG card underneath Jones and Stipe. And that's the heavyweight title. They'll only do that with Conor.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's say in a crazy world, Conor just wants to drink whiskey and hang out on his yacht, and he doesn't come back. I think Chandler has to go back through that gauntlet again a little bit.
I think Chandler, if he doesn't fight Conor, fights Armin Sarukian because they both called each other out. I think Chandler's doing the right thing. Cash in, fight Conor. I have no problem with you waiting to fight a Conor or for a title.
No. And
it drives me crazy, bro. Drives me crazy when someone is next in line for a title and they go and they take a fight just to stay active. Nah, man, wait. I think you should wait. If it's for a title, wait the extra 6 months. Wait the extra year if it's for a title. If it's not for a title, nah, stay active, bro. But if I know for certain I'm next in line for 155 and I just fought last weekend, so we're in the middle of July or end of July, and they're like, yo, you know what, man? Whoever the champion is in your division, he's not going to be ready until next summer. I'm the number one contender?
Cool.
Yeah. I'm not picking up no fight. Unless they come by and they're like, yo, do you want to take a Conor fight in between? Fuck yeah.
I agree.
It happens so often. And I get it, right? You're not getting paid unless you're fighting. But nowadays you can have sponsors. You could do social media stuff. There's so many other ways to make money to survive to get that. And also, if you're in that conversation, you're already making big money.
And what you're going to make off of fighting a Conor is going to outweigh if you fought 3 times that year.
Yeah, or if you fight for a belt and then you end up winning the belt and now you're a champion. So now you're getting pay-per-view points when you're headlining. I think that's what I would do if I'm Chandler.
I think if Conor...
And I hope everyone knows that if Conor comes back and beats Chandler, his next fight is for a title.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, let's not get crazy. Let's not be shocked.
Yeah. And then he might retire after that.
Yeah. How do you think this fight plays out?
I got to go with Dustin, and I love Gaethje, but I just think that he's a little more crisp. He's got more power behind his punches. God, I don't know though.
I will say
Gaethje's getting good.
I rewatched their fight recently in the studio. Gaethje violated him with leg kicks, bro.
Oh, he tore his hamstring
early on, and Gaethje is one of the best leg kickers in the whole sport. So he also did it to Khabib too. If you go back and watch that fight, Khabib and Gaethje, man, if that fight would have continued, I don't know if Khabib would be able to be pressing him the way he did. And I think Khabib knew that. Because Khabib eats this one kick, bro, and his leg just like shuts down. Yeah, he does like that whole chicken dance. And then from there, that's when he starts shooting and taking him down. Gaethje is vicious with the leg kicks.
Why don't you think Gaethje doesn't wrestle?
He doesn't wrestle,
Why?
and he's a wrestler.
I don't know why.
Because of what you said before, bro. These guys fall in love with this new thing, and he's hitting all these bonuses. His nickname is the highlight.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you can't wrestle fuck somebody for 5 rounds and then do a backflip off the cage. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. I gotta go with Dustin.
I like that one too. I'm on Dustin. Before we wrap up the show, and I appreciate you coming on, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
What
are the odds for that?
For what?
Dustin.
I'm going to get to that right now when we present our new sponsor of the show. New sponsor of the show for Veterans Minimum is Alpha Book. Shout out to Alpha Book. Shout out to all of you that have shown love to Alpha Book already. They are the #1 sports book for UFC and martial arts. And you guys know how we get down with UFC and martial arts. We even have some like evidence now, bro, that we could show off that we got some battle wounds on the mats. But we've partnered up with them. They're a sponsor of the show. And we've agreed to give all listeners of the show, when you go over to Alpha Book and use the promo code VM50, a free $50 bet along with your deposit, 100% match deposit on $100. So essentially, if you go and you deposit over at Alpha Book using the promo code VM50, you will get $150 as a gift for being a fan of Veterans Minimum when you use the promo code VM50. They're also crypto friendly if you guys are into that stuff as well. and they offer some of the best odds out there, man. They really do. And you guys know how I am. I love props. Props Poppy. You know what I'm saying? Parlay Poppy, the whole nine. That's how we get down. So shout out to Alpha Book. And you mentioned the betting stuff. That's how we're going to wrap up this show with some betting picks and some stuff that I like. Can I rattle off some to you and then you give me your thoughts?
Please.
I like the under 2.5 rounds at -185 on Chiesa Holland. I think that fight ends early.
Chiesa by sub.
Chiesa by sub is one that I'm looking at as well. Michael Chiesa by sub.
That's what I think for that.
Chiesa by sub, yeah.
That sounds good.
Tony Ferguson. I mentioned before how I think Tony Ferguson is live. He's 385. So I think that's a bet that I made. I also like him by submission at 11-1.
Yeah. Any round?
Any round, yeah. You could also bet on here, which is dope. On Alpha Book, you could bet the winner and the round. So you could take Tony Ferg to win in round 3, 40-1. It's pretty dope how you could.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what's crazy about props, and I had this conversation with Matty Betts. Shouts to Matty. He had a killer prop last week on Paul Craig by TKO. Big ups to you, man, because I made that bet because you talked me into that. I was on Craig to win by knockout. Sorry, I was on Craig to win by submission inside the distance and on the money line. And then he made the case for him by knockout. So big ups to Matty. He was just recently on the show. But, dude, if you hit a 12-1 prop, like if Tony Ferg over here on Alpha Book, he wins by submission, that's basically like hitting a parlay. 11-1?
That's pretty, yeah.
You know? So, and like you don't need 9 different things to happen. You just need one. You just need one. So I like Tony Ferguson at 385 to win that one by submission. He's 11-1. I also like Pereira to win by knockout at +170. How I mentioned before, the only way that I see Pereira winning, he's not going to outpoint Jan, especially Jan knowing that he's a guy who kind of scores points, right? Like how he did against Adesanya. Same thing. I'm looking at that at +170. And then, dude, I can't stop thinking about the main event ending in round 4. What do you think about that?
If it gets to there, if the main event gets to round 4, the damage that both of those gentlemen are going to have, I could see. It's either gonna be a quick over in the first or second.
So
I just pray. I'm not even gonna say it.
One thing
I'm not even gonna say it because I'll freaking jinx the whole damn main card.
I'm looking at both Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje to either win in round 4 or 5. So whichever of the two fighters you're leaning towards to win that fight, I would bet them in the championship rounds. And for example, Poirier to win in round 4, 17-1. To win in round 5, 25-1. I was just talking about how if you hit one of these, it's like hitting a 5 or 6 leg parlay. Hell, this might even be more than that. So if you're looking at the main event, the way I'm going to bet it for certain is I'm going to bet both guys to win in round 4 or 5. I'm leaning towards Dustin Poirier to win in round 4 and 5. You get that at 17-1 and 25-1. And then if you're on the dog in Justin Gaethje, bet him in round 4, 25-1. And then in round 5, 35-1. And you're onto something, bro. How these guys are going to be in a slugfest. The wear and tear. It's not going to take much in round 4 and 5 to shut that body down.
Think about Robbie Lawler. The damage that he puts as an opponent, it slowly. If he doesn't knock you out, Robbie's always took you into deep waters and then ended you with sheer pain. Like breaking you literally. I could see one of them being broken.
Well, dude, that's why some of my favorite fighters have always been the guys that don't have knockout power. I'd rather a guy that could beat you on volume. Max Holloway, the Diaz brothers,
yeah.
right? they very rarely had knockouts, like one-punch knockouts. I don't think they ever did, truthfully. I'd have to go look at it. These guys definitely have both. Yeah, which makes it fascinating where whoever you think is going to win, bet them by knockout. But I'm looking at rounds 4 and 5 in the main event to end like that. So head on over to AlphaBook. Use the promo code VM50. Let us know that you're using it. Also, going to do a giveaway in partnership with AlphaBook. And yeah, it's the #1 sports book for UFC and martial arts. And tell them we sent you. Tell the people about Fight Junkeez, bro.
Again, thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. I love the merch.
Thank you.
I'm a large. What's up?
I got you.
You heard it. You
Fight
heard it.
Junkeez. Yeah, same as we just did. I break down, I interview UFC fighters, and I'm just a fight fan. And that's what I do. So, yeah, tune in to Fight Junkeez with an EEZ on all platforms. Shout out Sticky Paw Studios. It's a big platform. We got Action Junkies, Bizarre Junkies, Fight Junkeez, Latino Junkies. So, yeah, go check us out. There's a lot of good stuff going on over there. But Fight Junkeez, yeah, we get down in the weeds, interview all the fighters, and get into it, man. So I really appreciate you having me. I'm stoked for this fight. And I can't wait for the rest of the year to play out.
Dope, man. It was fun having you on. Like I said, I'm a large, so I'm expecting a shirt. I don't say no to things that are free, ladies and gentlemen. Always remember that. Actually, don't, because that could be taken out of context. But with that said, as we wrap up the show, the NFL contest is now up on Patreon. I should say the entries are up. So if you join the Patreon in the $20 or $40 tier, we will announce what the prizes are going to be. As you're looking now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the tiers that we have. We have a $1, $5, $10, $20, and $40 tier monthly. It goes a long way to supporting the show, especially with some of the dope shit that we're going to be doing for the football season coming up. A lot of big giveaways. We gave away a bomber jacket and a tank top last month. Next month, we're doing some cool shit too. Maybe give away a couple copies of Madden for you legends out there. But as we get closer to the NFL season, you'll be able to find out what the prizes are going to be. I want to get a good amount of people in there before we really make a guarantee of something. But last year was $1,000 we gave away, so it'll be something like that, or maybe even potentially a trip to Vegas. Just got to iron out all the details. But big ups to the members of the Patreon. Tristan Ratzlav, the newest member of the $40 tier. Thank you, you son of a bitch. I appreciate you so much. Abel Resin, Ben Kotzian, Jerry Shapiro, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Platees, Jordan Riley, Nick Crummage, Thomas Robinson, and Mike Wozniak. Thank you all for your contributions. It's patreon.com/veterans minimum for a little as $1 a month. You can support the show. And like I always say, I know some of you guys. I know how you spend your money. You spend your money on way worse. So why not support the boy? Why not support the show? Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.